Hey guys, so let's talk about squat form. Squat is a movement using your entire body, super useful, super functional, and it helps you get really strong in your entire body. So it's something we want to make sure form is bang on when we're doing it. So what we're going to focus on, we're going to start from the feet all the way up to the eyes. So with your feet, we want to have what is called a tripod stance. So you are not pushing your weight through your heels, you're pushing it evenly through your big toe, little toe, and heel. And you're basically thinking of digging those 3 points right into the ground. That is going to center your weight over the middle of your foot, okay? So another thing with the feet is to think about external rotation. That's gonna activate your glutes and your hip abductors and make sure your knees pull out and don't go inward. Preventing injury, make sure you're doing it right. So a good way to think about that is spreading a big piece of paper on the floor, spreading it apart with your feet. So think of pulling to the outside of your feet. If you practice that right now, right away you're gonna feel your hip abductors and your glute med turn on, which is exactly what we want. Moving up to the knees, a lot of us have been taught we cannot let our knees come forward when we squat. That is incorrect. So we actually wanna start the movement at the knees. So as we go down, the knees are coming forward. And again, if you're putting the pressure into those 3 points, that's naturally what's gonna happen. So don't be scared to let the knees come forward as you go down. We're gonna move up to the pelvis. So we want to keep neutral pelvis. So we don't want this and we don't want that. We want neutral spine. So we're not sticking our booty up and out behind us. That's gonna put a lot of pressure on the back. So as you go down, let the knees come forward, keep that pelvis neutral, push out into the feet, and come back up. So let's talk about core. No matter what we're doing, every single exercise is actually using your core. It is what stabilizes you. If you're not engaging it, again, that's a lot of pressure on your back, gonna lead you to injury eventually. So we wanna breathe in, big breath, hold it and brace it. So basically flex your core around that breath, okay? And then when you come up at the top, then you breathe out. So we're always using our abs, which is a great thing. Moving up to chest. We want our shoulders wide open and pulled back, always. So with pretty much every single exercise, there's a few odd exceptions, but pretty much 99% of them, you're going to elevate, roll back, and depress your shoulder blades. So you're really opening up through here, and you're squeezing those shoulder blades, and we're keeping our chest nice and proud and high, okay? So as we go down, we're not compromising here, we're not leaning forward into the ground. Moving up to the eyes. We always wanna keep our head in line with our spine, always, always, always. So don't look down, don't look up, look straight ahead. If you're looking in a mirror, which preferably you will be, to see your form, you're gonna be looking right at yourself, okay? And those are the basics. So the two main things I see wrong with a squat, two main things would be knees coming in. So as you go down, your knees are actually internally rotating, puts a lot of pressure on that knee joint, and that's where a lot of people get the knee pain from. So again, if you think of spreading that paper apart, you're externally rotating already. Do not let those knees come in. Think of pushing them out. It can be really useful to use a booty band. If you guys have one, loop it around above your knee joint and then push out into it and keep constant tension on it as you go. You guys will see too, I didn't talk about stance. I take a quite wide stance personally with my toes a little bit out to the side. So that allows me, because I have smaller hips, it allows me to get lower into the squat. So there's nothing wrong if you are more comfortable with a wider squat, nothing wrong with doing that. So you can be anywhere from hip distance to a little bit more, and that little bit of external rotation with your knees is just gonna use the glutes more, which again, nothing wrong with that, but play around with your foot stance, see what feels right. So the second mistake I see most often would be chest coming down like that. So as you come down, you're lowering down to the ground. Depending on your flexibility in your posterior chain, in your calves, hamstrings, and lower back, it can be very tricky sometimes to keep an upright position with your upper half. So a really easy tweak to get you into a more optimal position would be elevating your heels, and we're gonna use the dumbbells. And I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by that. So if you have dumbbells at home or something stable you can use, put your heels on there. Keep the big toe, little toe, heel, tripod stance, and pushing out into those knees. Keep that chest nice and high. It will just help you to keep that chest high if the problem is tightness anywhere in here. So the way to know if you're doing a squat correctly is to look at your angles. So I'm going to show you guys here. When I go down, the angle of my knee to my ankle should be very similar as the angle from my shoulder to my hips. So if it's like this, clearly those are two different angles. If it's like that, that's also not the same angle. So that's how you know if you're doing it correctly. That angle should look pretty much identical. Awesome. One more thing. When you come up, you want to squeeze your bum, but you don't want to tuck it under. So I see it a lot at the gym. People will do a squat, and then when they come up, they're really like doing a posterior tilt. And what that does actually is puts a lot of pressure on your lumbar spine again. So squeeze your glutes, engage them, but don't tuck them under at the top, okay? So when you come up, you engage them, you squeeze them, but you're keeping a neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Okay, so that's a lot of tips. There's a lot that goes into a squat. But yeah, you guys let me know if you have any questions about any of that stuff, and I can be happy to go more in depth if we need to.